I'm Holden Douglas here at Crypto.com Arena, where the Kings were out-tuned by the Blues 3-2. Despite the Kings losing a tough game in a shootout, Darcy Kuemper had a spectacular performance. Kuemper saved 28 shots on goal. To complement that, Quinton Byfield hit a spectacular goal that gave the Kings some momentum and kept them in this tight race. Let's hear what both players had to say about their performances.
Another tight game against the Blues, Q. How did the night differ from the other one?
Yeah, I felt we played, a lot harder, a lot tighter, kept it more simple. There's still, going through a stretch right now. There's still a lot of things that we can do better. Darcy kept us in the game for a while there, but just how hockey goes. There's lots of up and downs throughout the whole season, so we just got to figure that out.
Especially in this building, how crucial has Darcy been? Maybe a stretch where you guys don't have your best. How comfortable is the group in relying on him in those moments?
Yeah, there's a ton of saves out there today. I feel like their D were coming down a lot on us, and getting good opportunities, and he stood tall there. We gave out a decent amount of odd man rushes too. He made huge saves, so he's been keeping us in all year. So we just got to do a little better for him up front.
You mentioned a while ago about how much confidence you got from scoring that goal in New York, beating a goalie cleanly like that. Follow that up with a lot of goals in succession and maybe dried up a little bit. You score another one like that tonight. I mean, what is the key for you to get more consistent with scoring those kind of goals?
Hit the net. I think, it was a good shot, but, sometimes, just try to be a little too fine with it. And, there was just simple, good screen by Laugh, just trying to hit the net there, and it worked, so that's all I got to do.
You played with a lot of different guys this year. The current group that you're with right now, who's driving the communication on that line? Is Laugh looking to you to drive? Is Kevin, as the veteran, doing more of the communication?
I think we all, can kind of do our own thing out there. Laugh, he beats a lot of guys wide. He makes a lot of plays, works hard, goes to the net. Like, he does all the things. Kev, does a lot of pull-ups. Makes a lot of, unreal plays that not many guys can do. I just try to fit in with those guys, and I think there's a lot of chemistry there. And there's a stretch of time, where everything was clicking. Now, a lot of teams are making a push for playoffs, and it's getting a little tight check.
Are you able to keep up with those creative moves that Kev is, or do you feel comfortable keeping up with those moves that Kev does, like you said, that not a lot of guys can pull off?
Yeah, you got to expect from him. Time to time, obviously there's some plays that don't work out, but there's a lot of plays where it's like there's a very limited amount of guys that can make those. So very confident in what he does out there, and just try to get open for him.
Is your team right now lacking a little confidence, or do you see more maybe sense of frustration?
I think a little bit of both. I feel like a lot of guys are held off the score sheet a bit, but when that happens, frustration builds up. A lot of bounces aren't going your way necessarily, so it's a little bit of both. And as I said, it's a long season. That happens in hockey. A lot of good teams go through it, so it's just a stretch for us right now.
By the time of the next game, the deadline will be behind you. Do you think that's something that maybe plays on guys' minds at this time of year?
It's a good question. I think, I don't think so. I think everybody's comfortable, with their, position on the team, where they are, with their games. So I don't think that really weighs in on much guys in this room. We know we got in here. We're all excited to play with each other and be in LA Kings. So I don't think that really affects it.
You guys created a number of odd man situations off the rush. Wondering if you might like to see, I don't know if being a little more selfish is the right word, but maybe a little more of a shooting mentality in a couple of those moments.
Yeah, there's a lot of chances out there where guys pull the trigger a little bit more. Even on that 2-on-1 or 3-on-2 on the second with me and Kev and Laugh, it was just bad passing. That's something in practice we always execute. We score a bunch of that. It's just one of those things. Pucks bouncing, bobbling around. It just wasn't clean, so we just got to clean it up.
Do you ever look at the situation going on with Brant Clark being in and out of the lineup, still working to find his way as a young player? Though, do you ever look over and go, hey, I feel you. I have some empathy for that because of what you went through earlier in your career?
Yeah, it's NHL. You know, all the guys are, you know, great players. Everybody's, you know, meant to be here. You know, it's a tough league to break into, and you know, he's a great player and he's going to have a great career. And it's, you know, it's one of those things you got to learn, you know, early on, and you know, not necessarily his fault either. It's just, you know, got a lot of guys on the team that, you know, can play, and it's just a hard situation for him.
Have you shared some of that with him, peer to peer?
Yeah, I mean, we talk, but I think more so just coming from, you know, Dewey as a veteran. You know, necessarily Dewey hasn't been through that, but you know, you can kind of, you know, take him under his wing and you know, kind of bring him up there.
Okay, we've seen your ice time and trust from the coaches in overtime situations really grow this year. Tonight it seemed like the ice and chances were really tilting in your guys' favor with you out there.
Yeah.
How comfortable are you in those situations, and does that 3-on-3 with all the space kind of complement your game really well?
I think so. You know, especially playing with Juice as well. You know, he does everything. You know, probably one of the fastest guys in the league also. So I would say early on, you know, I was scared to be out there in my career, but now, you know, it's a lot of fun being out there with all that ice, you know, time, just being able to make moves out there. And, you know, there's one out there that I definitely want back, but yeah, now I'm comfortable with it.
Is that a thing where Jim talks to you and tells you, hey, you have that confidence now, or is it just kind of he starts giving you that ice time and you know that you have that?
Yeah, I think it just grows. You know, I think it just started this year where I was, you know, starting overtime and, you know, getting that opportunity. You know, same with the PK as well. Like, it's kind of just built over time. You know, you don't get that right when you come up. It's just something that you kind of earn over time, and just kind of came to.
Thanks, Quinton.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
You get the win, but important to find a way to kind of battle as a group and come away with at least the 1 point.
Yeah, I mean, tonight felt different. Felt more like how we want to play for most of the game there. So it was a step in the right direction, but yeah, obviously it's not the result we were looking for.
Darcy, you mentioned that's more how you guys want to play. Is that mainly on the defensive side of things, the one letting up 2 goals in regulation instead of kind of what that road trip was, a little sloppier?
Yeah, I think that's something we pride ourselves on. So I think we made some good corrections in that area, and you know, it obviously kept us in a tight game that we just weren't able to close up.
How would you assess the penalty kill tonight? Obviously, more opportunities there than maybe you guys would have liked. Had 3 big kills early, gave up the 1 power play.
Yeah, I thought it looked more like how we wanted to. It actually did for most of the road trip. Look good again. So yeah, you don't want to be giving teams too many opportunities. That was probably the case with 4 in the first 2 periods. But I thought overall we did a good job there.
You mentioned defending being kind of your guys' identity. Does that change anything for you as a goalie? Maybe a little bit more pressure, but you guys also as a team defend so well. Is there kind of a balance there? How does that impact how you kind of maybe approach our game?
I mean, I just go out and play. I don't really think about anything like that. Obviously, every game's a new deck of cards, and you got to play the hand that you're dealt. But you know, it's a lot of fun playing with this group because everyone's so committed to that side of the puck.
Well, maybe not perfect. How much comfort does this group just have playing in this building? It seems like no matter what the game flow is or what happens, you guys are always in the game when it matters at the end.
Yeah, I mean, we've been great here all year. We love playing in front of our home crowd, and you know, we always feel like we're going to win the game regardless of how it's going. So that's a good feeling, and we just need to get one here to get back on track.
Shootout situations for goalies, I imagine, are really tough because I can't imagine there's a way to really replicate that even in practice. Like, you can have your guys coming on you in shootout situations, but just different in game. I mean, how do you try and handle that situation?
Just try to stop the puck. Yeah, we haven't had too many of them this year, so yeah, it's kind of funny how those go. Sometimes you get on a roll on them, and then sometimes you don't. So just go out there and try to face each shooter the same way.
Thanks, Darcy.
Thank you.
Quinton, right out if you.
Let's hear what Coach Hiller had to say about the team's struggles.
5 straight without a win. How concerned are you?
Well, I want to win, but concerned? I'm not concerned. We always live in a perpetual state of day by day, so it doesn't feel good when you don't win, but yeah, no, I wouldn't say concerned.
After the road trip, you're probably looking to see a little bit more emotion and maybe urgency. Did you see some of that tonight?
I thought it was a good hockey game. Yeah, for those of you who haven't seen them yet, we saw them last week live. It's a pretty good team who's playing really well right now. So I thought it was a good game. We battled. Both teams missed some pretty good chances, I thought, but both goaltenders played well, and it's a shootout. They get us there.
What's worrying you the most right now?
What's worrying me?
Yeah.
What's concerning me? We're gonna go. You want me concerned? You want me worried?
Well, I mean, if you're not concerned.
Yeah.
Big picture.
We're always. We drive ourselves crazy. We always want to be better. Yeah, I don't know if there's one thing. I don't know if there's one thing. It's hard. It's a challenging time for us, and we just got to keep grinding, playing, sticking together. I didn't like the penalties tonight. If you want me to be concerned or worried about one thing, with Lewis's penalty and Fiala's penalty, both terrible penalties.
That's 5 straight, 2 goals or less. That's not when you're in a lot of games.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's true, and we'd like to score more for sure. And even while I talked about with Russell this morning, we had a lot of chances in Chicago, so we came up short. I thought the St. Louis game we had a fair amount of chances too. Didn't convert the game in there. So yeah, I mean that's always. I won't say it's always going to be a challenge for us, but I think it's 60 games in, we don't score a ton. That's obvious. So if you're not going to score a ton, you can't give up much. I don't think trying to play a different way is going to help us score more. I think we generate kind of as a 5-man unit. I don't think there's one guy that just goes out and leads that charge by himself. So that's a team game on offense.
Jim, obviously disappointed with the loss, but just getting back to maybe your defensive identity, only allowing 2 after that road trip where it was a little sloppy.
Yeah.
Is that maybe encouraging for the coaching staff?
I mean, I thought it was a good game. They had some pretty good chances there. They got us scrambling at the end. That was obvious, but I liked that we didn't break. You know what I mean? That was, if you've seen the guys, you heard the bench was encouraging each other. It was, I think the last, you guys will know better than me, maybe it was the last 8 minutes. I don't think there was many whistles. We didn't get that time out for a while. It was moving, and I went down to 3, and the boys were huffing and puffing. So, but the overtime was good for us. Overtime generally hasn't been our strength. We generated. We had great looks. We just didn't score.
How would you evaluate Clark's game?
I thought he was good. Yeah, I thought he had good intensity. Again, that's a tough opponent there. Yeah, I thought he was really good. A really good step for him. Yeah.
We've seen Edmondson out protecting leads late, but tonight tie game, I think he's about 2 minutes left. He had him on his offside with Mikey. Just the idea we're trying to kind of settle things down, or it's just a different deployment than we've seen. I was curious about that.
Yeah, I mean, I think Smitty went down to 4, and so what happens there? He changes the defense, but what happens there sometimes is, say you have a partner, somebody gets caught on. The near side guy gets off because he's close to the bench, and the far side guy gets caught on. So now one guy's ready to go, but the other guy's still tired. So at times like that, that's probably why you'll see a little mix-up like that. Yeah.
Jim, you mentioned a pretty good OT from you guys. We just talked to Q about how his role has changed in OT, the confidence he has. It seemed like the ice really tilted for you guys with him out there.
Yeah.
How much confidence does this team have in him out in OT, and how does that situation with 3-on-3 kind of benefit his game?
Yeah, well, I'll take it back. I thought Q was really good. Maybe our best player. I don't know. I'll have to look at it a lot closer than just standing there and catching it in real time. But he had the big hit, right? So if you go back into Chicago, he had 2 big hits in that game. He took 1 too. But so I think I think we're starting to see him just dominate a little bit. So he's got to be a physical player because he has that attribute. Confidence, skating. I thought he handled the puck, and then the 3-on-3. Yeah, he was dangerous. So. It's an evolution, and I think we're seeing some really good strides from him.
How much is on him personally versus the line mates that he plays with? Because he's had a lot of different looks this year with different guys.
Yeah. As far as what? As far as his growth as a player?
Yeah. He's being more dominant.
I mean, in the end, you know what? It comes down to you. We got a lot of good players, so you play with players that complement you. We've different line. Him and Folks played a good part of the season together, and we talked lots about how well those two had played together. So he's had a chance to play with good players all year, but in the end, that want, that will, then to gain confidence, that comes from inside, and sometimes it takes longer than others, but we really like the direction he's headed.
I haven't seen Q score that kind of goal very often, do you?
Right.
How encouraging to know that that's kind of in the bag for him as well.
You know what I loved about the goal was as he turned, he didn't then look. He had one intention. When he turned, he got himself loaded, he shot. And I think at times I would say he's guilty of trying to look for another play, look for the next pass. one thing he's really improved is his shot. Since, if you've followed him, if you go back 3 years, it was never a strength of his. And I think now you're starting to see it become a strength. On that one in particular, that was a hell of a shot. So we all want it so fast for everybody, Clarkie too, but it unfortunately, for most players, there are very few exceptions, it just takes a while.
You use that phrase, dominate with him, and I think when you see the size skating come with him, that's a word that comes to mind. Does it feel like he's on maybe the precipice, like very close to breaking through that barrier of that being his consistent level of being a dominant player?
I sure hope so. Yeah, I sure hope so. And he'll dominate in the ways you mentioned. So somebody else will dominate with sauce passes and one-timers and stuff like that. His skill set is different, but you got to maximize what your skill set is, your size, your skate. I think he's for a while maximized the skating ability, but now we're seeing this physical manifestation, and then add the shot to it, and there's lots to like.
It seems like throughout the season there's been a number of odd man rushes that just really haven't resulted in anything that kind of culminated in that one y'all today. What you kind of see there, and what maybe is the issue in those situations?
I don't know. They all develop a little bit differently. There's so much timing and space, and what do you have, and lots of different things involved. But in the end, the player has to make the best choice and execute. You know what I mean? That's not a coaching thing. Kevin will probably look at that. Q will look at that. They might talk after that, but they're there in that moment. They see what they see, and it just comes down to executing.
You kind of just leave it up to them on the bench to say, they probably understand.
Yeah. But I feel like you do in the stands, same thing. You're like, okay, let's get the next one.
It was the last game before the Friday trade deadline, and not that this team is expecting to lose many or any players potentially, but does that kind of thing have an impact on players? I mean, they're humans. They're thinking, could I get moved? Could my buddy get moved? I mean, does that have an impact mentally on the team?
Yeah. Well, I like to throw it to you guys a lot of times. So let's just think about this. I know I am. I'm checking what's going on. Was there a trade? You guys are doing the same thing, so why would they be any different? The difference for all of us is we're probably not moving anywhere. And so there's players in the league that are friends, maybe not even just them. They see friends move. They know the families, the kids. So it's a difficult thing, and it's unavoidable. And I think everybody probably feels a little stressed during the time.
When you look at your next couple of days of practice, what do you try to work on?
Tomorrow will be a little rest for those 4 defensemen in particular, but we'll just keep doing at this point. Just keep trying to dial in and execute better in some of the areas. It's ozone play for sure. Rush play is hard to at this time of the year to focus on too much, but it's ozone play. Keep trying to drive home offense.
A little bit of an odd schedule here. Two home games in a row. Three games in 8 days. Do you build across a regular season kind of series like that? And what do you want to see to come out on the right side of this third meeting?
Well, we got to beat them. No, we're pretty familiar now, and we talk about this in the playoffs. You kind of see each other now 3 times in a week, and you really get to dig in and see what they do well and where maybe you can counteract that. They do the same, for us. So. You like that because it feels a little bit more like a playoff series where you can get a little bit deeper on a particular team.
You've been experimenting with campaign on different lines the past few games. Is there any particular line that you like them best on?
I like them with Kopi. I think they've complement each other. They've built a pretty good chemistry over the years. Doesn't mean we won't mix it up from time to time. As we tried with Byfield and Fiala a couple games. Didn't go great. I think they're probably better thrown into a situation where they don't get to think about it too much, and we got to go when the crowd's going. Seemed to work pretty well in that stage, but we just didn't get enough from them when we had time to just slow it down and maybe think too much about that line.
Thanks, Jim.
Okay.
The Kings are in a massive slump. They've lost 5 straight games. Although the Kings had a chance to end that with a win against the Blues, they failed. However, the Kings get another chance against the Blues on Saturday back here. Reporting from Crypto.com Arena, I'm Holden Douglas with Infanity TV.